Hey, what's up guys, it's Dallas again with Chaos Fragrances. Today we're back with another video. As you can see, we're back at the good old table. This is where I did my last video on how to spot a fake Creed fragrance. And I'm back with another very educational video. This one, a few people have asked me this, and it is how to make decants. So now this will be useful on whether or not you want to start selling some decants, or if you just want to take them with you if you're going to be going on vacation and you can't take full bottles. I'm just going to show you the ways I do it. There's really no right or wrong way. As long as you're getting the fragrance from your bottle to your decant, that's all that matters. So I'm going to show you how I do it a couple different ways, and it should be fun. So let's go and get started. First of all, I want to show you what you're going to need, and I have all the supplies pretty much right here. I'm also going to leave links down to Amazon. I got all the supplies off of Amazon pretty much, so I'll leave links to where you can grab those supplies. First things you're going to need is Teflon tape. This Teflon tape is what basically seals your threads, helps to prevent any sort of leaking, and also helps to prevent evaporations because, like I said, it kind of creates a little bit of a seal. That way when it's in transit to you through the mail, or if you're taking it in your luggage and it's a lot of shaking around, it'll keep it from leaking. Next, this is optional, you don't need this, but these are labels. Again, got them off of Amazon, and they're just small little labels, as you can see there, and you can just stick them on and write the fragrance name on there. Again, it's not optional, you could just write on the bottle if it's for yourself or whatever. Then obviously you're going to need your fragrance that you're going to be decanting, and then of course bottles. Again, this one right here is a 5 milliliter bottle, and this one is a 10 milliliter bottle. They come in all different shapes and sizes and colors and things like that. These are glass. I do prefer glass over plastic just because they hold up better. I just prefer the glass ones. You do what you please. And then another optional thing, and I'll get to this later, is a syringe. So here you can see I just got a syringe, an Easy Glide syringe. I'll get to that in a minute, why you may need that. And then, of course, scissors. Just to cut the Teflon tape so it turns out cleaner. You can just rip it if you want. I prefer to cut it. So that is our supplies. I'm going to go ahead and kind of demonstrate one way to decant. So I'm going to use the 10 ml bottle here. I'm going to unscrew the cap, set it there. I'm going to grab my fragrance, Versace Mano Fresh. It's a great fragrance. And here's the first way, the most simple way, the way that pretty much anyone can do. You don't really need anything special. All you're going to do is line up the sprayer with the bottle, and you're simply going to spray. Now, this usually works pretty well. As you can see, we're transferring, not transforming, the fragrance from the bottle into the decant. As you can see right there, it can be a little bit messy. You can get a little bit of leakage. And with a cheaper fragrance like this, I'm not too worried about that. If you're dealing with Creeds and other niche fragrances, you really don't want to have your fragrance spilling everywhere. So that is one way. Like I said, the most basic way on how to do it. As you can see, we got a decent amount in there already, and it works great. Like I said, if you're just doing this for yourself, if you're just making up a couple for vacation really quickly, this way is fine. However, if you're going to be selling a lot of them, you may want to try it the second way, and this is the way that I prefer. I'm going to go ahead and show you now. So next I'm going to show you the method of using a syringe. Now what you're going to want to do is pop off the cap of your bottle. As you can see, took the sprayer cap right off, just pops right off. And what you're going to want to do is grab one of these syringes. Again, I'll leave a link to where you can grab these. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab something that you can use to widen the hole. Now, because when you get these, the hole isn't going to be wide enough to fit over the syringe or over the top. So what you're going to want to do is grab some. I like to use something thin like this, and what you can do is you can just heat it up with like a lighter or a match and use it to basically widen the hole. I did not come up with this, by the way. Someone by the name of Rich Lopez, he's a pretty popular decanter in the community. He came up with using a method like this, so I just don't want to take all the credit, but you take something and you widen the hole. Alright, and then what you're going to want to do after you do that is you simply just put that on over the top. You're going to want to push down pretty firmly, and all you do is you just pull up. And as you can see, as I pull up, we now have a decant. And what's nice about using a syringe is you can measure it and get approximate value. So as you can see, I've got 3 mils in there right now, and that is perfect. So what I'll do is then come over here, put that right there, push down, and transfer. So you can see up to that, probably about 5 mils. And we're going to do the same thing, push down, pull up, and look at that. I don't know if you can see it. Try not to tip the bottle over. As I pull it up, we've got the juice, and that's another 3 mils. So this is nice if you're selling smaller amounts. So say you want to sell someone 1 milliliter of fragrance, just a little sample, and you only have a 3 milliliter bottle. Well, you can use one of these syringes and decant out exactly 1 milliliter. That way you're not eyeballing it. You're not losing out on more juice than what they're paying for, and so on. So we're gonna do a little bit more. I'm not really sure where I left off at. I'm gonna say about 1.5. Throw it in there, and we're gonna do a little bit more. Don't overfill, because when you go to stick the top in, it'll start to come out. So I would say that's pretty much good. I usually give it a few more pumps, and it looks like we're full. So there we go. We got our decant Versace Mano Fresh. Again, I prefer using the syringe method. It's just quicker for me. I always write the name of the fragrance on the syringe. You don't want to obviously use these 4 different fragrances, because then you'd be contaminating. So what you do next, take your Teflon tape, get yourself a piece. You can put the Teflon tape on before you fill the decant. It's probably easier that way, to be honest. I do it after, mainly because I can. It's just what I've gotten in the habit of, but you do whatever you want. So now, one thing that is kind of important, when you go to fill, or I'm sorry, when you go to wrap the Teflon tape on, wrap it on counterclockwise. The reason why is because when you go to screw on your atomizer, you're screwing it on clockwise. And if you wrap the Teflon tape clockwise, what's going to happen is the Teflon tape is going to start to unravel when you're screwing it on, and you don't want that. You want this to be around the threads as tight as possible, so that way when you do decide to screw on the atomizer, it will go on good. I'm kind of making sure to tuck this up underneath like such. Just that way it looks good. It has like that. And now what you do is you take your cap, and you'll notice when I go to screw it on, it's not unraveling the Teflon tape that you just neatly wrapped around it. And you want to hand tighten it. Don't tighten it too hard. I've learned the lesson the hard way. If you crank them down too hard, you'll strip the threads, and then you've ruined that. And then you got to try to transfer it and not spill it. Don't do that. That's a no. So now you have your freshly made 10 milliliter decant. Really easy, really simple. And this is where you would take your label and a pen. You'd write the name of the fragrance on there. You'd slap it on the front, and you would be set to go. So guys, that is pretty much all there is to it. That's how you decant your fragrances. Again, if you're just making up a couple for yourself, go on vacation for a week or whatever, there's no need to buy syringes and, you know, labels and whatnot. You can just, you know, do the directly spray from the bottle into there, scribble on there with the Sharpie what it is, or you can just tell by the smell what the fragrance is. But if you are going to start selling, maybe you have a few friends that want some of your fragrances, and you want to hook them up with some decants, then it's worth investing in some labels, some syringes. That way it just makes it easier for you, a lot more exact, and you don't get spillage, because like I said, it's kind of hard to see on the bottle. Oops. There is some spillage right there, also on the table, and you know, that's not good. It depends on the atomizer. Some fragrances, atomizer sits up a little bit taller, and it's easier to rest the atomizer on the edge of the decant and spray in. It also depends on the distribution. Some fragrances have really good distribution. They don't just spray it everywhere. They have kind of a more controlled atomization that then goes into a cloud. That way you can get it in the decant easier. For example, Creeds have such a big cloud that it's usually easier to use the syringes to decant. Otherwise, when you're spraying it, it'll get a little bit messy. So that's just how you do that. Now, another question I get asked a lot is reusing decants. There are ways that you can wash them out, make them good to use again. Now where I stand on this is if you're going to be making these decants for yourself, for your own use or whatever, then that's fine. You can wash them out, reuse them. But if you're going to be, again, selling these decants to other customers, to other people, it's probably best to not reuse them. You don't want to have some sort of contamination issue like there has been in the past where people are getting, contaminated juice. So really, like I said, they're for yourself, for your own personal use. Do what you want. But personally, I would just say get a new bottle. You can get these for pretty cheap. And again, when you're talking about the more expensive fragrances, you really don't want to mess around with contaminating them. For the cheaper stuff, go do whatever you want. So I think that's pretty much covers everything, guys. It's how to decant. Really the only two methods I use. I'm sure there's other ways. Not saying this is the only right way, this is the only correct way, whatever. Just how I do it. It's been working good for me. I will say you definitely want to use the Teflon tape. You don't want any leakage, you don't want any evaporation. And I do prefer the glass bottles. Again, kind of helps the juice hold up better. I know for some people say the plastic bottles will start to degrade the juice over time. And again, you don't want that. So that's pretty much all I know about decanting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I know a few people asked to see this, so there you go. And I think that's going to do it, guys. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care.